Hello everyone and welcome back. It's the BTS America's Grand Final. We started all the way at the beginning with a round of 16 teams, including 2 teams that battled their way through an open qualifier, and it's been whittled all the way down to these 2 powerhouse squads battling it out for a $10,000 prize pool. The difference being first place gets to walk away with an easy 5 Gs, second place gets 3. So there is a good chunk of change difference here between the first squad and the second squad, and you got to know all those scouts out there for bigger and badder tournaments and majors, they're going to be watching these little events to see who can really step up and perform. And so far, there has been a big step up in performance from Team Leviathan. This is KotLGuy for Beyond the Summit. I'm going to be joined again from Blaze remotely. Blaze, this grand final, many anticipated was going to be an 80-20 quick squash, maybe even a 3-0 for Cloud9. But look at this. It's 2-1 for Leviathan. We have one hell of a grand final on our hands.
Absolutely. And anybody who has had that opinion that in that direction obviously hasn't watched the previous 2 matches from Leviathan. They are just really finding new ways to push the envelope on split push and finding their way out of a disadvantageous situation. I mean, maybe you can attribute some of it to the enemy throwing, but a lot of it comes down to really intense decision making when it counts, and Leviathan have brought that to this game in spades. We're actually going to see the Pudge banned out. The Pudge was banned in the second phase for the first 2 games, and then the third game they Leviathan up the tempo of that and they pick it up in the first phase. This prompts Cloud9 to ban that instead of the Storm, and now we do get to see Francis Chilonqua, whatever you want to call him, on his signature hero. The Storm Spirit is his most played, and he is really able to bring something new with this hero. However, encounters, we're going to have some really good stuns, and
yeah, the Demon Silencer is something he's definitely pulled out in the past when stuck in these kind of lineups, specifically against the Storm Spirit, and from time to time in an occasional AM as well. And he is very patient and methodical with that global ultimate. So already a bit of a, problem here for Leviathan moving forward on how they want to be able to respond. Storm Spirit sees this and they're like, all right, already my itemization is probably going to have to start adapting a bit, and you're going to be forced to build defensively, something most Storm players don't want to have to do. I don't want to have to get a BKB. I don't want to have to get a Lincolns. I want to beat ass. I want to get a Bloodstone, farm up, maybe orc it early if necessary, and just get kills and get charges and get out of control. But Silencer seems to be kind of the brake pedal for all that. But look at this early response from Leviathan. They're going to pick up the Rubik, the first one we'll see for this series. And really, what's the fault on it? You get it alongside with your Clockwork, denies the pick for Cloud9 if they even wanted to consider it. And you got great options already across the board here. Earthshaker and his Fissure is obviously top priority for Rubik if he's able to get a hold of it. But even Lena offers some good options. And while I would hope Silencer isn't just out in the open casting his global, but really, you never know.
Well, one thing is how smart this Rubik pick is, considering the supports that are left in the pool. The Wyvern and the Witch Doctor were taken out. Cloud9, they seem to have their support duo figured out, either the Lena Shaker or the Silencer Shaker. In either case, the Rubik is probably one of the better heroes to be brought out here, and it still leaves the option of maybe going for a Bounty Hunter for their 4th pick. That Bounty Hunter is still in the pool. There's always going to be something left in the pool, and right now the big heroes are the Gyrocopter, the Bounty Hunter, and I mean, that's not necessarily true for these 2 teams in particular. SVG, for example, hasn't had the best Bounty Hunter games recently, but I'm just saying in general, in the broader spectrum of the meta, those have been very popular, although not as much in the past week.
Also, Naga kind of getting pushed aside up to this point. Another team looking to go there. Gyrocopter, though, has somehow kind of slipped all the way through. We haven't really seen much of him at all. I wouldn't even know if he was banned or picked in the last couple of games, but now we get to see his crazy-ass mustache picked up here for Cloud9's side, and it seems pretty well-rounded. They got a lot of burst potential. Gyrocopter is a hefty fighter, but have we seen Ritsu play this hero, Blaze? I don't know if I've seen Ritsu take reign of a Gyrocopter, personally.
It's definitely not his most common pickup. It's obviously very meta-relevant, but as far as his signature heroes, they usually have a little bit more mobility, a little bit more ability to jump around and do some really good damage. Obviously, we've seen the Ember, the anti-mage from him. In this case, they just want to really emphasize team fights. Like, I would almost say they could look towards, I guess, something like a Centaur would actually really help with the global synergy they got. I mean, you go in with Global Silence, Call Down, and the Stampede, and there's nobody that's going to be messing with you. So, I don't know, that's going to be up to them how they want to run the offlane, how MSS is comfortable with it. He's run Slardar. We still have the Tusk. There are more traditional pickups, to be sure. I just was noting one that I thought actually worked really well with what we see already on the field.
As I look over the history here, and there could be a statsman out there watching now who could correct me, but it does look like Cloud9 have not played Gyrocopter with this new roster yet. The last time it was picked up for Cloud9, just even as a franchise or whatever, was back at TI. So this will be the first time they go for it. We've seen plenty of it, so it's not like Ritsu should be unfamiliar with how the hero works, but it does seem to be a different play style than he's used to. Don't mean to harp on this too much, but we just know Ritsu for being more of a farmer, and Gyrocopter typically can be much more of a fighter, especially around that level 7, level 8 mark when he wants to utilize that call down. But here's a response from Leviathan. They're going to snag up the AA here. And look at that, Blaze. We get to have the Storm Clockwork AA combo, which we all know is like the infamous hit-and-run squad, where Clockwork could go out and adventure. Him and Storm Spirit have that long mobility to get a catch, and AA sets it all up, of course, with that pesky Ice Blast.
Just a double check on that. Also, the Gyrocopter has been picked up by Ritsu, but only in leagues like FPL.
Okay.
He plays it in that kind of pseudo pub setting, but in-houses, but he doesn't or hasn't played it for Cloud9. So experience on the hero sufficiently, but now they have to coordinate around it and work around it. Ancient Apparition, love this pick. Has a lot of potential to really frustrate heroes that rely on lifesteal like the Gyrocopter, shattering their opponents. Can they look for a Queen of Pain as their other core or something like that? I don't know. Like anything that can really do damage that feels permanent. Anything that really just puts in physical or pure damage really early on in the fights, and therefore the Ice Blast is that much more palpable with, I think would be pretty strong. So I wouldn't mind. I mean, the Queen of Pain is threatened by the Silencer, so maybe it's not the best, but I think that anything that gives consistent damage in the team fights is a really important pickup here for Shibby.
Yeah, but what about Cloud9 for their MSS grab? I'm concerned he might get something that we haven't seen him pull out in quite a while here. No Darkseer is going to be available. Clockwork snagged up. We obviously know there's going to be... Oh, Tusk? Tusk has been ignored completely. Didn't even notice that. There's a Tusk game here for Cloud9 then. Does MSS just kind of grab it up once more?
Definitely has the option to do so. Not as many stuns for sure. Like the light, you're going up against last game, the Light Strike Array, the Earth Spike, all these different disables in an AoE sense. In this game, it's like the Telekinesis secondary stun, which hardly matters at all. So they could do that, but instead they opt for this Night Stalker pick. And this seems to be a bit of an ace in the hole for them. They feel that this could really do a lot for them because Silence versus the Storm Spirit, it's a pretty clear idea.
But how will he be in the laning stage? Normally I've seen Night Stalker, offlane Night Stalkers have to come as a pairing, and they'll need that kind of +1. Will that be required from Cloud9 because he could be put up against this Rubik and AA? We know AA with his Chilling Touch can do deceptively amazing damage at the start, and caught in the backside of a lift during the daytime, he could run into a lot of trouble. Does he need to have that pairing?
He doesn't want to go aggressive in the laning phase. He's going to maybe be aggressive at nighttime, 4 minutes to 8 minutes, but as far as how he's going to get experience in the offlane, it's going to be based on the Earthshaker pullback. He's going to block the wave with the Fissure probably 2 times, maybe more or less, but he's going to pull back the wave so the Night Stalker can just get the experience in a more reserved fashion, because there's no way he actually fights against Rubik, Ancient Apparition +1. So yeah, he'll play quiet until nighttime, and he'll kind of pounce when he gets the opportunity for it. But Earthshaker can go for these fissures, and probably should, because the Silencer is fine to zone out the Clockwork solo. Either Glaives or Last Word allows the Silencer to trade really effectively.
Final pickup here for Leviathan is going to be the Wind Ranger. It looked like Cloud9 might have been thrown off a bit. Their final ban was a Spectre, anticipating that possibly Shibby was going to be taking over for the Storm, and they were still awaiting the possible core grab for Francis. But that's not the case, as we already know. Francis loves the Storm Spirit, so he will be able to revisit that. And Shibby now will be playing this Wind Ranger here. So let's talk a bit about the viability of this Wind Ranger for this particular draft. You got your lockdown factor with your Shackle, which could be, oh god, every time I hit this hotkey, Blaze, like, so XSplit came out with a bit of an update, and they had to change all the hotkeys apparently. I hit it and I start running sellout ads. There we go. We'll cancel that. We're back. But Wind Ranger for this lineup, is it going to be easy for her to kind of get that set up? It seems like they can be relatively elusive. She gets someone caught out, focus fire. There could be silence to break it. There's obviously Earthshaker to deal with. Or is this going to be a fruitful game for her?
I think it should be a pretty good one. I mean, the laning matchup is going to be the same as what we saw last game, but in reverse. The Wind Ranger on the Radiant side for Leviathan. At the setup, I mean, you've got so much initiation. It's not really looking so much at looking at Cloud9's lineup, where they're like, oh yeah, they have a couple of ways to break down your spell set and your initiation. You just look at them, Leviathan side. They've got Hookshot, they've got Telekinesis, they've got Ball Lightning Jump with Electric Vortex. Like, Shibby gets a Blink Dagger, and he's going to hit some Shackles. Prior to that, he's just going to contribute with a Power Shot. So, no matter what, he's got something to bring to the table here, and I really feel like this is like the sniper lineup. Like, they just can snipe with Power Shots, snipe with Ball Lightnings at long range, the Hook Shots, Ice Blast. Like, they can just follow through with so much. And I really feel that Cloud9 have to be hard-pressed to make sure that the Ancient Apparition doesn't get an easy level 6. Because when you add Ice Blast on top of the Storm and the Clockwork jumps, oh boy, it is going to be very difficult to manage. Now, the Silencer does have some soft counter aspects to it, where if you see, by some way, you see the Ice Blast actually flying out, you can global right about the time you think he's going to release it, and it'll just keep on soaring, which can be really nice, but it's also not the most standard of plays.
Yeah, of course. And then you put your global into a huge, disgusting cooldown while he's like, oh, Ice Blast again in a minute, no big deal.
Well, usually, I mean, like when the Storm jumps and you think the Ice Blast is going to be there as well, then you global both the Storm to silence him and to prevent the Ice Blast from following.
Certainly so. It could be used as a lifesaver there. Early rotation this time comes from Cloud9. MSS is going to TP down below and drop down an Ops Ward to block out the pull camp and give him a little bit of that side vision. And he'll be able to step back, and it looks like he'll be able to provide his own block here. So the Night Stalker becomes that 4-position roaming one, something we haven't seen yet from SVG. You know, if you kind of... We already know what he's not been able to do really on this Bounty Hunter. Do you feel like Night Stalker is going to have much an easier time than typically? At least a Bounty Hunter could always hide in the shadows. This Night Stalker now, you have to play around the day or night cycle and make sure you're going to be more proactive at the nighttime. Is there a lot of pressure on him to at least get some levels in the laning phase and make do with that first 4-minute nightfall? Or is he going to be stuck in like a farming phase and we won't see much of him until that second one?
Well, he's not going to be in a farming phase. As a support, you're just not going to be for the Night Stalker. I would say parallels very clearly to the Bounty Hunter, and we're just going to have to see better play from him, because his Bounty Hunter roaming, he was level 1, level 2 for an exorbitant amount of time, and just couldn't get involved. He needs the Crippling Fear, he needs to be able to do some work, and they are going to be able to get the Bounty Rune top, but we already see Theban is actually scaling up this Curse of the Silent, so while that will frustrate Jenkins' ability to spam, he's just going to go ahead and pop his power cogs away from the lane and still be okay in terms of actually his health pool.
He's able to still make it back and get a pretty good block with the cogs here. But yeah, typically, you know, I would see Silencer put the value point into the glaives early on. That pure damage and harassment can be just pretty devastating. But I suppose you're going against a Clockwork. You know he got cogs, and you know you're hoping that you can work around those cogs and get as much of the mana out of there as possible with that curse. Looks like we're having a little bit of hiccups here. Brown apparently is dying. His SVG is having freezing and lag hiccups, so we'll have to wait out a bit for him. Yeah, reborn things, according to Leviathan's side.
So one unfortunate thing with this pause is that Dire have vision of the Radiant Courier, and that's what the Night Stalker is here for. So at the very least, he knows he's not wasting his time if he falls back, and that's one thing that maybe... I guess that he would have known that he was wasting his time with the aspect of him seeing it in the first place. But it's just now they can kind of consider if there's any opportunity to counterplay against it, and I'm curious how it gets microed. They already microed it around the side there. I'm assuming they'll micro it back the same way, and I don't think the Night Stalker wants to go right through the middle there between the towers.
No, he'll just have to like turn around and take his business elsewhere here with the courier being too far away. But what about our matchup here for the bottom lane? Earthshaker is going to be able to block out the camp, get it nice and close. Should these two supports just continue to work with the pull camp and get it brought back here for Francis as much as possible? Or does this Rubik, who did not get any sort of early smoke or anything, need to consider putting more value into rotating to the mid lane and assisting Shibby?
Yeah, I mean, you could take it both ways. I feel like more emphasis on just getting your own levels up and getting more pulls and stuff like that off are going to be more profitable for your overall game plan going into a little bit later down the road. So I mean, yeah, it's nice to help with the stacks and ganks and stuff like that, but I kind of feel like the supports have to be a little bit selfish here.
Looks like SVG has returned. We'll hope that all internet issues have been resolved, and we'll get to resume play. I don't know what R means, unless that means resume. But Francis is not here, apparently, so we'll have to wait for Storm to also show back up. But simultaneous salve action coming out for both mid laners. What about the Wind Ranger versus Lina matchup, though? Wind Ranger typically will be able to hold her own. Lina has the advantage to harass with the long range and could pull ahead with early CS. But do you think Shibby should just be fine here? I don't get to see Shibby play this Wind Ranger very often. And I guess you can almost say the same for Brax. I'm more, take Brax for the Wind Ranger player.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously comes down to the Night Stalker 4 to 8 minute period, how SVG's roaming works out. But as it stands right now, I believe that the Earthshaker is going to be mostly focused on getting his levels bottom, so MSS shouldn't be a factor in that. And then I believe that Leviathan knows one of the biggest counters to the Night Stalker is getting an Observer Ward down right before the first night. If you get an Observer Ward right smack dab on the steps in the mid lane, and that doesn't get dewarded, you should be able to see any real ganks coming in, even despite the Hunter of the Night movement speed.
SVG is hanging around mid lane now, trying to treat it like a bounty hunter in a sense where he'll just kind of keep Shibby back and away from the lane, but he is able to get off the power shot and at least take a bit of that gold back. And SVG will just hightail it elsewhere. Very curious. I'll continue to touch base, but bottom.
Yeah, check out the ward situation. This is just slightly different than it was before. The previous ward that was placed on the bottom and the Radiant Pole was just west of it and still blocking things out. But he went the maximum distance, and it ends up the sentry does not cover it. So that is going to be on lockdown, and it's much more relevant this game because of the reliance on the ultimates of the Rubik and the Ancient Apparition.
So MSS will have the advantage of not worrying about the pull-through here from the supports. That's why I feel like maybe the supports do need to consider going elsewhere. You're not going to get a lot of levels having to share it amongst a tri-lane, and I mean, you can always step off and just kind of stack in the jungle instead, but eventually one of them is just going to have to find work elsewhere because you're not going to get a lot done here without a pull camp and the three of you just kind of hanging out in this lane where MSS can easily just block out the wave and continue to get it closer and closer to the tower. Touching base with CS, though. Lena's up 7-5, while Shibby 2-1. Continues to fall behind here a bit. I don't know if that's implications from SVG's a little bit of harassment before, but yeah. Brax is certainly off to a strong head start.
SVG's been to the lane like 3 times, just keeps on avoiding him, and it's not really enough to actually hurt him directly to a significant degree, but it scares him because a void setup to Light Strike Array could cause some real problems. You constantly have to be on edge about it. We're going to see some attempted body blocks down bottom, but MSS has a substantial 70 movement speed advantage over the Rubik, so he has really no chance of getting blocked, and they barely get any damage on him.
So for MSS, about to get to his level 3 with 4 CS. Let's check the other side of the globe here. Level 3 for Jenkins. And only 2 CS for him. For now, just goes with the battery assault and the cogs. Nothing into rocket. Sometimes Clockworks, when they feel like they're in this kind of a setup, when really they're not going to be able to get too much, they might invest more into rocket to either snipe some CS or get some side vision. Bottom lane and commitment again on the MSS. It looked like it got a fissure off there at the end, and will barely be alive and well. Very low though, and only has 1 tango to go for to kind of regen up.
They're trying to pressure this tower pretty hard. Basilius is on for Ritsu, and they really seem to want to gun this thing down, but Jenkins should be able to manage it, even without the rocket flare, just pulling the creep wave back. He's tanky, he's in a fortified position, he's not going to get caught off guard. It just seems like pushing the tower is actually giving Jenkins more than what he normally would in this situation. I'm not sure why they're opting not to static farm the lane.
Yeah, I mean, only to probably, I imagine, eventually equalize it with a pull, which SVG has done. It's just a single pull here, so yeah, they definitely want to see if they can double up the push and take it towards the tower. Yeah, so they're all about making this tier 1 go down sooner than later. Maybe just getting that extra bit of farm for SVG before that 4-minute nightfall. Jenkins shows up, just casually throws out a weak little rocket, and will step back. He's here to just soak up some lingering XP if possible.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, if the tower goes down anytime soon, then that's a really good thing for Cloud9, but right now they're making all the moves to pressure the tower, and it's just not actually going that direction. We're seeing Silencer pick up a nice little region win for himself in the meantime. Oh, big damage on Flying Zebra.
Yeah, and that's going to be your first blood. C9 will get it. It almost looked like Newsham had an opportunity to even cliff MSS there, but it could be a bit fickle with some of those ledges. But that is 4 minutes in, and SVG is stalking Shibby. And even if he's not able to just pounce onto him, it's going to force Shibby to take a long road all the way back and around to even get back to that mid lane. All the more space for little Brax here to continue farming up. Third in CS, 19-7 right now, is going to get closer and closer to that level 6 and have that Laguna ready to go before Shibby can even dream of getting to his ultimate. Top lane, might see a converge onto Jenkins. Demon sweeps in, gets off the curse, hits him up, and he will be able to still get off the cog regardless and zone back Ritsu. But look at this aggression. 3 of them huddled between the tier 1 and tier 2.
Yeah, just a statement of intent. They want this tower to fall. They're creep cutting for it, and they want to keep Jenkins off the lane. He's still in full experience range for the most part, though, and it seems to be limited success, and a rotation is going to be prompted pretty soon. Hell, even the Storm could rotate as he approaches level 6 with the Soul Ring. One thing I was going to mention as far as just early activity here, Silencer 102 build, able to kind of put the pressure out, burn a little bit of mana at a time, but for the most part, Jenkins is still going to be able to sustain through that. He popped a couple clarities, and that was fine. Nightstalker trying to set up a couple kills. He does end up getting the first blood, but still otherwise pretty passive from him.
I imagine pulling out an urn here very soon could certainly help out if he's going to be engaging so much and looking to get involved, and will add the sustain for himself and the team, and of course additional pure damage certainly doesn't hurt. And with that, he'll just kind of head back and above. Very short of it here. It looks like in the meantime he will be able to handle some stackage, and we'll have a nice little build up here for Mr. Brax to fall back on, as he also will make a stack for himself. MSS, who had ventured away from his off lane, I don't know if he's trying to find a new home for himself. It's still sporting level 4 and only a pair of boots for now. Maybe just hoping to still take advantage of this night and get a setup. Or just maybe an all-around handoff here, Blaze. Brax does have Laguna, so maybe they could look to go put it to use after he farms up.
Yeah, for now, just going for the camps, and they'll get the solo experience in mid, which is great. But even better stackings are coming out of the side of Leviathan. You look at their central stack, that's a quadruple hard camp stack coming up from Flying Zebra. Pulling it to the west, you get that extra potential stack, and that's going to be great for anybody to clear. The Wind Ranger, the Storm, both having the means, but the Storm probably more efficiently.
And he will need to soak in that XP because he needs to get to level 6, this AA.
The Storm is actually going to be going 1-point Electric Vortex. Very different than what we've seen commonly for the Storm Spirit. Obviously, he's going to be farming less stacks from a safe lane position. But do you think there's anything else to this as far as the quick little stun?
Is there really anything to the way Francis has decided to skill or itemize the series so far? It's really hard to say. He's maybe just trying to read the situation on the fly, and they could be saying, hey, we're plotting out a potential engagement, and we'll need the extra lockdown because, to be frank, we do lack a bit of it, unless we happen to have the hook shot ready to go with Cogs. Outside of that, it's just hoping for a shackle. I mean, maybe they just have more emphasis on the lockdown factor, but it could have assisted him a bit if he had the extra build into maybe farm to burst down those stacks. And top lane, though, they're making it go. Jenkins, look at that, gets a grab onto T-Bin. We'll take out the silencer, just maybe recognizing that he was the solo individual in that lane, moves in and gets the kill.
Yeah, Jarcopper wanting to not only push and farm, but also probably looking to snipe some stacks that actually didn't work out for him as it's been cleared out. I don't think the Nightstalker got much experience share out of it either. Obviously, it's very dangerous just to see this kind of movement from the Storm Spirit, because the Nightstalker has far greater night vision than the Storm, but this Radiant Observer ward has been really on point. This turtle ward position, do they still have a turtle there for Reborn? No, they do not. That's sad. But anyways, it's a good ward defensively for the Radiant side, as the name would suggest.
Well, because they came up short with the rotation previous, they'll just use this opportunity to push into the tier 1. Over to... with SVG at his back. It is daytime now, however. And it looks like in the meantime, Zebra will take some moves in the bottom lane. Both supports looking to farm. Looking to pull in. Top, T-Bin in a bit of trouble. Storm Spirit easily dances around him, and they're going to get the solo pick. That's back-to-back takedowns of the C9 captain here. And already, Storm happy to express some interest in rotating around these lanes and starting some pickoffs.
Yeah. It's actually really common to have a support silencer. Oh, under tower. This could be pretty bad. Shibi's going to get the shackle, and the tower's going to do most of the damage here. Shibi should be able to finish off SVG. 2 more hits. No, he magic sticks away.
Oh.
The Rubik will fall, and now Shibi is under fire.
The rocket barrage is out. Zebra still holds. Ritsu lives, pops the one, and it looks like they might be able to make it out. A rocket does come in, but it's only level 2. It's not going to be able to finish them off. They're all so weak and wounded and battered, and they will live on. Leviathan will not be able to get the catch onto any of them, and Cloud9 will reward themselves with a Tier 1 tower takedown. They move ahead now 4-2, and that exchange alone will guarantee them a 1,500 to 1,600 gold swing.
So, I mean, obviously the Storms has found success so far in this laning phase. Around the top with the last hit chart, getting the kill rotation, pushing hard onto the tower. But everybody else is struggling a little bit here. I mean, the KotLGuy's found some good openings on the silencer, so he's been involved 1-0 and 1. But we do see the Wind Ranger in particular had a really rough time of it. Shibi, with the Night Stalker harassment against him, so many times he was under fire in the laning phase, he only ended up walking away with 32 last hits, and has yet to find a kill or assist. So, a pretty weak start from him. Hopefully he's going to be able to jump up with one key item pickup. In the meantime, looks like the Storm's in some trouble here. The Night Stalker doesn't have a silence. Now he skills it up, but it's going to be just a ball TP.
Yep.
Pitcher. Oh.
It's a little too many degrees off to the right there, scientist MSS.
It's the vector. It's just the difference there.
Well, they'll be able to make it away, and the tower will be
free kill.
denied.
I think Jenkins has got the kill here on MSS. I mean, this is an Earthshaker. Only Echo is able to be cast here.
Yep.
And he gets him around the tree, so he can definitely get the Cog follow-up.
Oh!
Never mind.
No, does not get the point-blank hook, and they will turn it back. Echo, Laguna. Jenkins, though, persistent, will still be able to get the round to MSS. Did he snag the Laguna? He did not. That's going to be the Dragon Slave. And Brax is actually in trouble. Nushim looking to move in. Doesn't have any more mana. 2 charges on the wand. Maybe was hoping to chase him down with the slave, but now will lose his own life, it looks like here. As he walks away, the last hit will be going to SVG. It's a 1-for-1 trade, a support for the off-lane Shaker here. So C9 get the slight odd, or rather, Leviathan get a slight odd there, as Shibi will pressure out this mid lane.
So, Urn of Shadow is going to be on the Night Stalker as well as the Rubik. These guys both want to be able to tank up a little bit more and continue to sustain their team through the dives. Clockwork going to be working towards a Blade Mail, and that can be effective against a number of heroes. Obviously, it breaks down Brax's Yule's combo because he'll be self-inflicting. It's just a good thing to cast when you're silenced. Like, the fact that items work while silenced makes them that much more valuable up against a dual silenced lineup of both Nortrum and Balinar.
Storm now looking to propel himself towards that Bloodstone, increase his farm potential obviously, and start building up those early charges. He's got 1,200 near 1,300 gold saved up for now. We look to Shibi, and he's about to have his point booster if indeed that's what he wants to step off for. Get that early component for the Yags, I'd imagine. Actually,
yeah, I mean, Magic Wand Blink is also tempting. I think there's a lot of value in that. Ancient Apparition, left alone. They're trying to do the same thing with Flying Zebra that they did with 1437, getting that key ultimate through solo experience, but one comes online sooner than the other, so they get to go for a smoke play behind it, and they're able to pick up the Ancient Apparition. Now, though, do they follow through for the tower? Jarkov is pretty good for pushing here. They've got the global behind it, but they're also losing HP on the tower thanks to the focus fire up top.
Yep, here goes Shibi. You can see it going to town now. First rotation will be in from Cloud9. It's MSS. And already you can see Leviathan starting to pull back. Ritsu will TP right in front of them. And they're already going to be heading out. Jenkins is first to retreat. He goes back to the mid lane, gets a hook shot here onto SVG. We'll cog him in. Battery sold out. And we'll be able to right-click him down. Brax is trying to assist him here. We'll get the Laguna off, but Jenkins should be able to turn and walk away. But look who shows up. It's going to be the Storm. They know that Brax has already committed Laguna, but the Global will fly out. Storm will be forced to retreat. It's going to be a defensive Global coming out from Theban here. Storm now caught with the Yules. It's going to be LSA into Fissure, and plenty of lockdown with the call down.
Nice.
And it will be enough. Killing spree for Ritsu on his gyrocopter. Cloud9 get a nice pick there, and it looks like they'll just take this into some motivation in pushing this mid lane possibly.
Yeah, but one weakness we're going to be seeing throughout the rest of this game is the cooldowns for each team's ultimates are very different. The team Leviathan pretty much have non-stop ultimates. Their longest one is about a minute in terms of relevancy. Hookshot's right now 70, but it'll go down. So as every minute or so, you're going to see Leviathan fighting with all their skills. On the other hand, Cloud9, they've got 2 minutes, or actually 130 seconds on the Global Silence. You've got 150 right now on the Echo Slam, and so on. Obviously, the Night Stalker, there's 4 minutes at a time where he's not really fighting at full strength unless he pops his ultimate.
Jenkins looking to line up the hook here. SVG's trying to sidestep and juke a bit. Jenkins holds it in reserve. Will not be tempted into throwing it out. And Leviathan will kind of reevaluate and pull back here. Nighttime just seems to be a bit sketchy. And is it something that Leviathan should always consider fighting around here? Is it them to kind of just be those day fighters? Is it that much of a fear from the Night Stalker that they don't want to make any moves in while he has that advantage? Or is it something to not really worry about until maybe SVG starts getting a hold of like an Ags, let's say?
I think maybe the gravity of the match itself might get to them a little bit, essentially knowing that like they're on the cusp of taking down Cloud9, who they really viewed as like a final boss in this tournament, and they don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to slip up and just get a little bit too hungry, too greedy, and go in for a kill that actually is a complete bait. So it's a respectful play, but now finding Brax with the Ice Blast, that's going to be a nice kill.
Nicely done. You heard the setup from Jenkins. Newsham is there with Zebra. And that is your first Ice Blast, which will lead to the first kill for AA.
And that's actually a great steal for the Rubik, too. Light Strike Array for a Rubik. You set yourself up with Telekinesis. In fact, it's a max Light Strike Array. Now, there are some Linas that up against Rubik only put 1 point of Light Strike Array and prioritize the passive harder, but you can't afford to do that against the Storm, who you need to disable. Speaking of, this Global comes out, and they will actually pick off Francis.
It's just so quick and fast that really Francis can't do anything about it. The second the Global even pops out, he has no time to react and will be taken down. Shibby mid lane gets off some last few pokes onto that tower with the focus fire. Not enough to bring it down, and it's pretty damn close to deny range. So C9 will keep close tabs onto it. And for Shibby, he's still building towards that Agnum Scepter here. Not stepping off for the Blink Dagger quite yet. Looks like he wants to go in for the ultimate, at least for now. And how much of a concern this has to be now? That's 2 pickoffs with the Global here, grabbing out Francis. And he's still committing in for this Bloodstone. Does he need to go for the Yules after?
Well, he knew what he was going into. Like, he knew from the draft what they planned to do with these heroes, just silence the hell out of him. So it was a conscious decision just to go Bloodstone first, and he'll get tanky. He'll survive the Lina a little bit better. But yes, he needs Yules or BKB immediately thereafter. He was probably just hoping he'd get it a little bit quicker. In the end, though, the Silencer's only taken 1 stack of int from him, or, well, the 2 int from it. And, I mean, they're farming up really well across the board. We have Aghanims in sights pretty soon for Shibby on the Wind Ranger. You've got the Bloodstone, as you mentioned, and then Flying Zebra, no Midas, just goes right for the Axe, and when he gets it, I would say they have a really significant advantage this game.
I did find that a bit interesting that, you know, he had the money to scrap together this point booster, but didn't want to hold out a little bit longer just to get the Midas. I feel like if you can still throw it together before, like, the 20-minute mark or right at the 20-minute mark, it still has some good value to be able to just put together the XP that much faster and then the Agnums afterward. But he really wants to get those Agnums quick. I just hope he also finds time to get levels with it. If you get an Ags and it's still only level 1, it's nice, but it's not going to be doing the best of damage.
Nice little smoke play here. I don't think they want Roshan. They can consider it an option if they have to, but they want the fight, and they don't have Global just yet, so they'll kind of wait it out. It's a pretty easy signal, even in pubs, just to say whenever the smoke breaks, pop Global, and then they can kind of make the first strike. So that's probably what they're looking for here. They don't have Dark Vision with the darkness or nighttime naturally, so they're just going to have to make the jump as soon as it pops.
It pops, but I think that was just due to the time of it expiring. But they still have plenty of time to sweep from behind. They're even going to commit the drums. Lead out on Jenkins with the fissure. And his team are just going to have to watch him go down. There's just too many Cloud9 members here. Quickly your AA will retreat and Storm will not participate. Clockwork will get caught out. And C9 will come up successful with their smoke movement. Now they turn their attention back towards this top lane where little Noosh has been pushing out with his Rubik. And we'll continue to just kind of fall back a bit. So Cloud9 get their pick. They push ahead now 9-5 and have a net worth advantage of about 3K with XP just, you know, slightly at that level. Nothing too significant for either side. What do you think for this particular game, Blaze? We've seen the big tipping points in the past couple of ones. Where can we see the tipping point come in for this particular game? Is it when a crucial item comes into play? Is it the AA Agnum Scepter? Is it Ritsu pulling together what looks like probably the first SMY? What is it going to take?
I would say for the side of Leviathan, they're looking for 2 items on the Storm and the Ags on the AA. Those should happen about the same time, and that's when they're really starting to gain command of the game. For Cloud9, it really comes down to execution. It comes down to finding fights and using their silences and their disables perfectly. If they can do that, they're a fighting force now. They are able to make those moves just with the Blink Dagger and the Earthshaker alone. But
Oh, it forces out the global here. Jenkins still caught with the fissure. And C9 want to retreat. They couldn't make most of it, but as soon as the silence ends, Jenkins is able to hookshot in. They're going to get the quick pick onto SVG. And C9 will sound off the drums to retreat away. Leviathan will be graced with a nice little pick onto SVG. And they will move elsewhere. Alright, nice little casual pick there, Blaze. Nothing too crazy, though. We're getting 20 minutes in. And there's emphasis coming out heavily from C9 to get some farm on Theban and his silencer, because he is one to build up the Midas, and he looks like he will still be going for it.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So now, I mean, this just puts weakness. I mean, if they're the one that are being aggressive, but they initiate with the global, and they still don't get in. Oh my, though, the Echo.
Blink and Echo onto Shibby, and it's enough to hold him there. Rocket Barrage comes in to clean up, and SVG will get that last hit. Jenkins is already away and on the high ground. Will waltz on out. And it turns into a successful pick here for Cloud9. Now can they follow it up with an objective? Trying to add some pressure, I imagine, here onto the Tier 1. Already the Ice Vortex starts coming out. But Zebra should consider an Ice Blast very soon. Top lane. Looks like Francis gets silenced up here from Theban and decides to turn around and walk away. But he might be forced to walk out. There he goes. Long jump. Void. TP, but Void will pull out the mini stump. He will not be TPing anywhere, and he will be just manhandled and shot down. With lots of help from Ritsu, SVG ends up getting a double kill pretty much by the back end of that action.
Incoming. So in this position, it's interesting because Cloud9 are Laguna gonna be enough to bring down the Rubik here. So good Eul's combo there to pick him up. But it feels like Cloud9 are fighting better without their global silence than with it. Like the play there when they were getting aggressive down bottom, when you use a global to initiate a fight, it feels like you're supposed to really, that's where you get your kills. But in this case, they're kind of missing those opportunities and in fact losing a hero in the process. But then while immediately after that, when Leviathan feel a little bit more safe, they spread the map a bit more, they get a little bit, breathe a sigh of relief and wait out the 2 minutes more casually, and it seems like Cloud9 are able to take advantage of that time period to really press the attacks. So we're seeing kill opportunities over and over without this global. It's just about their team fight with it that they still have to look to shape up.
I can't help but feel like Leviathan are going to be putting a lot of pressure on themselves in the mid game to perform with that combo we keep talking about between the Clock AA and Storm. But as C9 continue to scrap together pickoffs and bring in lots of farm, it's going to be very difficult. They're able to itemize up even now. Night Stalker is building towards that Ag, so he continues to get bigger and bigger. Will not be an easy target to bring down. Theban will continue to be an easy target, but he's probably going to be one to hide in the back. But look at this down below. They're making it go in the Nushim here. They lead with the LSA, and there's the quick Laguna. 2 times straight. He'll be welcomed from that Laguna Blade. Look at this catch from Jenkins, though. This comes after the Ice Blast here. So he'll Yule's on down and eat some damage and could end up shattering here. Oh, Brax is very low, but he will not be brought down from the Ice Blast. In fact, they will turn it around onto Jenkins, and they will annihilate the Clockwork. 2 will go down all day from the side of Leviathan. Cloud9 losing nobody.
And immediately TP's up top. They know that Theban's going to be the bait, so they're getting there quickly. Lina trying to get there in time, but there's 2 instead of 1.
He gets the global off, but he still ends up going down. And look at this. Shibby looks to intercept. Will not be able to get the catch on the Brax before Yules comes out, and they both turn back and away. So they will not come to the end of this fight across the map empty-handed with one good grab onto Theban. That was a long Ice Blast. Where the hell is he shooting it at? Base?
And just scouting rush on, just in case.
Rush. Okay. But he'll have to reserve and stay back here. So 14-7 though. Cloud9 in a very nice spot, and already anticipating a possible near Roche for them. They have a lineup that can do it here. And Blink Dagger already on MSS. He put that together pretty fast.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's actually he's had that for a little while. When they killed the Clockwork bottom, I believe, when they went for that smoke grab, that's when he actually had picked it up. So mean, that's definitely, it's been a good game for him overall. He's going to use it here on bottom with the Echo and pretty much has a solo kill that SVG will secure. Just the good buddy old pal that he is.
That's nice. I go to MSS and see a new Blink Dagger, and he's nice enough to show me how it works. And quickly takes out the AA, and the picks keep rolling in. And Leviathan just pinging out the side of these trees like, nowhere's really safe, and we might need to consider a bit more control on this map if we want to comfortably farm out on our own. But now that
so two item things to talk about a little bit real quick. I really like the change up that Chilonkwa went for. That Francis played an audible here, went for a Soul Ring point booster, saw that it was taking way too long, and that he'd just be feeding Bloodstone charges away. So he goes ahead and goes back for the BKB. He's only about 600 gold off of that, and then he's going to be a lot tankier and a lot better suited for the match that we see here. Another thing is the Night Stalker is, with that kill that he's kind of stole, is doing really well.
Oh, Jenkins wants to engage in fight, but what he doesn't see is the whole C9 squad right behind him, and SVG has plenty of company, and they quickly slaughter two. Oh, Leviathan not getting good exchanges here. Every time they look to reach out, C9 quickly converge, almost putting together a micro death ball, it feels like here, Blaze, and now they'll be able to take this ball bottom lane and press in for tier 2s. I don't think the timing is going to work out in this instance here for Leviathan. They still need a lot more resources if they want to pull out these crafty split pressure plays. I don't see them happening anytime soon. They're not going to stay and finish off the tier 2, at least Ritsu won't. He already heads himself all the way back to this mid lane to keep farming it out, and he'll leave the rest of his team to clean it up. Steven will actually get the last hit on that tower. And that
he's actually also jungling with his Dominator. Like, usually you stack Ancients with the Dominator, and that's all you really do with it. But in this case, he feels like he can just do better with the neutral camps, and he's actually been using this Structural Summoner to push the top lane and to farm it out as well.
Oh yeah, there he is. I was like, where is he? Here, he's a little guy's got his own home. But, yeah, Cloud9 with another tower takedown here. Brings in more farm. This Night Stalker. Oh my goodness, he has an Ags. All right, SVG.
Yeah, exactly.
8 and 2. All right. This is
those kills, really, like, he has absolutely stepped up his game this game. SVG has found many kills on the Storm Spirit, which is a high priority kill target, and then obviously he helped with what MSS was doing in a couple other situations. Suddenly Aghanim Scepter, and that makes 30 minutes and onward the time of night. This makes it so that he's going to have so much intel into the enemy, and he's going to have a Gem of True Sight by then as well. Adding in the fact that Theban's been farming and farming to get this Hand of Midas online, and you're going to be seeing level 16 Silencer. You're going to see him actually get some real items more than just what you see right now.
They're near the area, and they will have vision on this Storm before Storm knows what hits him. You could see the stalking vision right here. SVG walks close, but they don't have the gap closing quite yet. Brax is far out. MSS is not going to get close enough, and Francis already heads away. Just to see the implications because of this Ags, we look at the Radiant Vision now, you can see it's just there in the dark. Even this ward here, 650 vision for all wards, structures, and soon enough, once he gets that to level 3, that will be, what, 75% of your game, possibly in the dark like that. Very scary for Leviathan, a team that wants to make those kind of big jumping plays with your Clockwork Hookshot and your Storm committed, you know, Ball Lightning. When you're in the dark like this, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to find those opportunities.
Yeah. He did pop the darkness there, and it doesn't do much for him, so he's going to have to wait out 3 minutes in the sunlight, being the Daywalker. But there are a lot of implications with this item. A, he's going to look for the Gem of True Sight, and it's going to be really easy to de-ward and take that intel away from Leviathan. And B, we're actually going to be, essentially, if a hookshot misses or it kills a low-priority target, Cloud9 are just going to beeline for Roche, because at nighttime, you have so much intel, you can stop the Storm from sniping the Aegis easily, and you can also scout for any smoke movements with that Night Stalker. So I really honestly feel that if they can go ahead and take care of the hookshot, if Jenkins puts that on cooldown, they can just go right for the pit. And if they have the gem, they can also see on their mini-map that the Ice Blast is flying through and dodge that accordingly.
Jenkins on the move now. Heads up towards the top, but will not be scouting anyone out. It seems like C9 are just kind of a step ahead at this point, and will easily pull back from any sort of near danger. Brax now sees Ags, Yule's done, continues to farm up, has 1k on hold here. And Theban, who already finished out that Midas, already has 1,500 gold saved up and level 12. So Silencer's starting to get big. Was it was it him who also favored getting an Ags first? If I'm not mistaken, at Nanyang, he did go for an Ags buildup on his silencer first, something that Fluff also goes, you know, big for.
I mean, it used to be really good. I actually feel that Ags on silencer is not that as good as it used to be by far. The fact that the duration reduction really doesn't help you in a lot. Interesting situation up top. If you go for the Void first, then you can cancel the Blink. Oh, the Urn will fix that. Okay. So he has vision, and he doesn't have the range. It's going to be the Fissure. That lock should be down.
Nowhere he can go. Just with the Night Stalker around, there is no safety of the trees. That unobstructed vision just allows him to get the easy scout. MSS will offer the stun, and Shibby will be dropped here. Cloud9 continue to dominate through this mid-game phase now. About 30 minutes in, ahead 18-7 already. Have breached past the 10K net worth mark. This is the most one-sided game so far, feels Blaze here. For Cloud9, they know it's almost desperation mode in this series. A loss here puts them out into second place. So they're definitely playing on all cylinders. And look at this, Brax even gets a quick catch of the Storm. Is able to get it off with the wand. The Global comes out, but he's already made the jump. He's still on the run here, and Brax is on the chase. He does not want to let him get away, and here comes SVG. He'll be able to step in. Gets the catch, still has enough mana for a jump, and he just goes right towards Brax and towards his own demise. Oh no, now they will get Brax down, but here comes everyone else from C9. But Leviathan have already head out, or not. Look at Ritsu go. He's going to get the call down. Will the first bomb connect it? Whoa! So he turns back. Uh-oh, Zebra tries to hide under the creeps with the rocket barrage, which does work, and he'll be able to make it back to the safety of his base. Jenkins walks forward. No hook shot, though. 30 seconds. It's still going to be on cooldown. Latch not connecting, of course, with the shackle. And it looks like Cloud9 are going to be able to make it away.
I'd say that's Roche time. I mean, they have the nighttime. They have the hero advantage. They definitely can look to it, but there are still always going to be risks. The Clockwork is going to have a hook shot soon. And there are a lot of problems associated with that. Ritsu seems like he doesn't care at all about the biggest neutral creep of the game. He just wants to kill off all the little ones and pick up his next big item. What are we looking at for this game here? Butterfly, most likely?
Yeah, Butterfly does make it a bit difficult, you know, for Storm to really do his Storm thing. He needs to be able to connect with these big overcharge or overload right clicks, and the evade can certainly help with that. Outside of that, not much else. It looks like we don't need to debate too much about it, Blaze. He already commits to the Eagle song, and it will be the Butterfly, without question. So he'll get to go back to his farm. They don't put any attention on the Roche. Leviathan, who thought maybe it's something they consider, continue to scout it out, but C9 have already stepped off, and they will just continue their farm game, being confident that they're in a much further position ahead of where Leviathan will be. So, uh-oh. Trouble here for your Storm.
Yeah.
Brax
the fire shot, though. Oh, the Yules.
Jenkins needs to get there, and a good shot to save. Does put himself right into the line of fire, and it's good enough, I guess, to create some space for a BKB and for him to walk out. And okay, see you later, Rubik. Straight Laguna to the mouth. And the Grand Magus will fall. C9 sweeping for anything else. SVG has that vision. Will scout out Storm, but Storm will jump away before the silence can come. Cloud9 just everywhere across the map. They'll get at least one pick. If they lose one, they've already taken two, and these exchanges just continue to be to their advantage.
Yep. We do see that in that meantime, though, Ancient Apparition does get some farm time. He should get his Ags off of these next waves, so that's really nice. But talking about the silencers items, the Ags is not as good in this patch. It does not do nearly as much as it used to, so we're actually going to see a Refresher Orb rush for him.
Yes.
And essentially, even if you have to do it from Fountain, you can still do some amazing value just by going for the double global silence, and that can be up to 12 direct seconds of disables, or you might kind of overlap them as soon as BKBs pop. You like Windranger, Storm pop their BKBs, you global again.
Ooh, Jenkins gets off a cheeky little force staff to get away from some potential trouble. We'll sidestep. Cloud9, I don't think they want to continue this push, and it looks like they won't. They'll pull back and away. And yeah, I agree with you, Blaze. I'm big on getting the refresher over any sort of Ags. And maybe if you have like the greatest farm game ever and you know you'll be able to pull out a refresher after the Ags, it's nice. Maybe good against teams that put more value in initiating with like Blink Daggers, as you'll be able to always keep those in check with the ult and the damage. But yeah, outside of that, I think refreshers where it's at. Even if BKBs are on, which they are for Storm, the secondary silence will come out and it will just kind of rain on their parade. So no surprise to see Theeman muscling forward for it, which he's already got enough money at least for the second Perseverance. And by the time that comes together, it could be Roche time, and next thing you know, we have a refresher silence, and C9 have an Aegis, and that's going to be the biggest and toughest test for Leviathan this game.
So it makes things very difficult for Leviathan. They have to manage those cooldowns really well. They either have to hold out on their BKB for a while, or Storm has to pop the BKB immediately and then keep balling. Because if you're balling, you can't be globaled. So you really have to just continue to expect that global silence to come out shortly after the second one, I mean. And you have to essentially, for the entire time that you're BKB'd anyways, you still have to keep in that invulnerability state.
Will call down just to farm out this lane. He's got nearly 1,400 gold saved up after already finishing out that butterfly, which he will flutter his way for his next bit of farm. Top lane, they're potentially looking to converge here onto Shibby, who will quickly power shot a wave and then blink the hell out of trouble. They try to quickly make a jump onto him, but he was quick to get out. So C9 will be coming up short for what feels like a first time in a while. It seems like every time C9 set out to make a pick like that happen, they do succeed in some sense. But this time Shibby will play a bit more reserved. But it is C9 who obviously are the bullies this game. And Leviathan are just left to kind of take what scraps are left over in this map and kind of be ready for whatever C9 bring forward.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I want to look into is how Nusham wards the next few minutes. He's got one observer on the plateau in near his jungle, so that's really safe. But it also doesn't give him much intel when his darkness is active. The darkness takes the ward vision away, and so sometimes you put some ground wards out against that darkness. Of course, the problem is they're warding against a gem at the same time, so you want wards that aren't useless, but also aren't immediately taken care of.
Ooh, top lane, they come in with a big echo. There's going to be the global. BKB will be popped, and he does get the kill onto the silencer here. Ooh, maybe a bit of mistiming there between the two. The echo and the sudden global allows him to easily shrug it off with the BKB, and they just did not have enough firepower this time to take out Francis. Maybe that new Bloodstone coming into full effect. He already acquires one additional charge, and soon after that skirmish, Leviathan do smoke up, and it looks like they're heading towards the bottom half here. Very close to Brax and SVG.
Yeah, they don't see anything yet. There's the Night Stalker. They'll jump on him immediately.
Yep.
And they might... Could they Roche with the Shibby ultimate? Yeah, with the Focus Fire, I think they have a shot at that.
Yeah, but did they do it, though? That's the other thing. Doesn't look like they want to head that way right now.
No Storm mana really hurts that endeavor.
Incoming!
So it looks like they'll have to let that option go, and we'll proceed to farm out this lane. Now, what about for Storm? He's already had to sidestep, and he has completed the BKB. He's already down to 7 seconds, Blaze. I mean, is it going to have to be worth he goes for additional defensive measures, or does he keep trucking forward with his Storm build?
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to deal with the silencer, and no matter what. I think Orchid. You could Orchid the silencer, isolate him, find him, kill him, and I think that might be a really good way to go about it. So, hacks the Orchid, and just go to town on the silencer before he really gets to do what he wants to.
Now, Jenkins is building up for what looks like an Ags. He has the point booster, but I was curious to assist the Storm Spirit a bit further if maybe a Lotus Orb was going to be something for him to consider. It would help get rid of that silence, and then obviously he could reflect back anything else. Other than that, other purging capabilities, do they have a mech holder? Doesn't look like they're going to have a mech holder this game, so that means no Greaves. I just hope they don't run into too much trouble with this Silence Blaze, especially if there's going to be 2 of them coming pretty damn soon.
Yeah, they're starting to hunt. They're starting to take over the map, and it looks like they don't even care how Leviathan look to initiate. They're just going to go right man mode into the pit.
It's against the Storm and Clock, which always is something that'll be in the back of your mind, but they are too far away. This Roche is easily going to be taken down. There will be an Ice Blast, but that is not enough to force C9 to kind of even second guess pulling off those commitments. It's a level 2 AA Ice Blast, it's worth a note, and is finally at an Ags. So the Ice Blast will do a lot of work here. Any glimmers yet for the side of C9 to help with
not
it?
That I've seen.
Doesn't look like it. So I don't know. I wonder if it's something that might
Shaker
be
maybe.
considered. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there were Shakers working on that. That's pretty important.
They are quickly pressuring this top lane. C9 are looking to converge here, so they got to get what they need and then get out. Shibby will have a blink TP. Francis has one himself, but they're staying around, and SVG has that vision. Oh, Fissure! It's going to cancel Shibby's. Shibby will be the one again who gets caught out. Lead in Echo. Lots of emphasis to make sure the Wind Ranger dies, it looks like, from Cloud9, but they get the job done, and will walk away with another pick.
Yep, a lot of good offensive momentum there. Obviously, they won't have that ultimate for a little while, but they just really want to clean this Wind Ranger up and keep her from getting big. BKB is obviously a pretty huge item for her. Once the global comes out, she run BKBs, and she's able to do a lot in the fight. But yeah, beyond that,
huge items I was going to say coming together here for Cloud9. MKB is already en route, the refresher recipe, and what looks like a shadow amulet, all coming online right now for Cloud9. And with that, they're going to push. So this gyrocopter hits really freaking hard at this point. The flat cannon has got to be something of a concern here for Leviathan.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
yep, it's just going to go right up to the high ground. It looks like they've got the Aegis, they've got some tons of siege potential, and they are as armed as can be. It's got to be on the Ice Blast for sure. This Ice Blast has to do some amazing work.
We'll see if they can do it. Stolen Dragon Slave, the Ice Blast to fly, will connect onto 3. It will be enough damage here to cause some concern, especially for someone like Brax. It'll bring him down to low life. It looks like the Glimmer was put together here. MSS starts using it. He's selfish, so he puts it on himself. But nonetheless, it's more than enough to at least keep C9 back.
Bottom? Oh no, he's just going to go for the TP. Brax was very low, so I thought he might go for a play, but it would be pretty foolhardy against the Eul Scepter, since he doesn't really have the means to burst him down. So at this point, at least hold him back for a moment, but you better believe that within this 5-minute period, they're going to keep using the Sages, keep moving offensively. He actually drops the phase boots for a second here. Ritsu gets his Dominator, puts the phase boots on the Courier, and is now bootsless with the Flutter.
Yeah, Flutter. Value to get between that farm, sure. Sweet little double stack he'll farm up. This is going to have to be another one of those big performances, Blaze, from Francis like we saw in the High Council matchup. It's just starting to feel like he's being very cautious now. He's got his Bloodstone. He's yet to even lose a charge on it. He's only been gaining it since then. After those times he was caught out and picked off with the help of the Global, he has been a lot trickier to get a hold of here for Cloud9. And if he can continue to add that bit of split pressure, we might see a possible run back, though. Cloud9, I'm sure, not going to let that happen. We'll have to see, though, if it's going to be an option for him. And they might possibly not be able to even get some good use out of this Aegis. 2 minutes, and it will expire.
Yeah, and as soon as we see the Storm Spirit's TP come off cooldown, then he's going to be back offensive once again, just doing whatever he can to stay active and stay pushing. Obviously not when they're on the wave, but as soon as they show anywhere else, and that's what the mid ward mostly accomplishes, because otherwise it's going to be de-warded immediately. And yeah, the Gyrocopter is keeping his face boots. He just, whenever he gets the chance to Helm the Dominator creep, he uses that to stack the Ancients, so though he did miss this stack here. Or I think that, actually, never mind, that was cleared out previously. But they're still looking for the jump, but with no nighttime and no darkness, they're not going to find Storm easily.
He'll continue to wait up north here while the rest of his team looks to make a pass along the bottom here. They will move in for a tier 2, simultaneous to the pressure from C9 at the top. They already baked a ping out on the tier 2, so everyone needs to stop off and pick up an extra TP scroll if necessary. 2 on MSS. Theben has one of his. SVG, though, no TP on hand for him, but it is nighttime now, and he has that gem and unobstructed vision as they head towards the high ground here. Already Francis will be creep cutting this top wave. There's still a big wave to come in, though, and they're going to start sieging here, Blaze, into this high ground. Nice solidify freeze. Hook shot will be the Aegis. Ice Blast already committed. Brax continues to go to work on this tier 3. It looks like it will be potentially going down. And there's going to be the global. As Storm goes in, he will be able to BKB off the silence and continues to dance around. And C9 already looked to disperse. Theben's first to retreat and head back to the base.
Nice
Jenkins
hook.
gets a huge catch under Ritsu. Who's going to be forced to BKB and stand and plant and fight. Jenkins is going to retreat out. What a Laguna catch, though, will annihilate Shibby, and it's a double kill for Ritsu. Follow-up comes in from MSS with a huge echo, which will take out Nusham, and now it's on Francis. He moves in, makes for a possible go onto Brax, and wow, they get the cold feet. It will solidify and take out Brax. Ice Blast is in, it's a big connection. They need to take him down further, though, but he gets the help from the Glimmer Cape of MSS, and will stay alive. MSS dishes out the fissure, looks to run back and away. Francis will not pursue. Instead, will step back. Leviathan will not lose any structures inside the base. They lose 3 from their side, though, as far as kills, in exchange for Brax's takedown.
Yeah, still Ritsu surviving. It's pretty good for Cloud9. Obviously, they didn't get the result they wanted with this Aegis, but they're still looking to kind of extend the game. I mean, they have so many ways they can go with this Gyrocopter that can just tank through it, and that's pretty much the name of the game now, is survive the damage output of Team Leviathan with the heroes, with the gyrocopter. And if he can manage to, despite their heavy fire, despite their heavy aggression, survive through that with the help of his supports, with the help of those globals, then he can just pretty much carry the game on his shoulders. He has the utmost physical damage output, and the Wind Ranger is good, don't get me wrong, but he has the means to fight against her quite appropriately. So I have some pretty high expectations for their late game, but I'm thinking about like how they're looking to progress. Every refresh orb usage is critical. Every single time they use that, they are committing this significant timing window, 195 seconds, where they're automatically weaker for that next stretch of time. So we'll see how Leviathan decide to use that, and how Cloud9 are able to kind of cautiously play around it.
In the meantime, both teams will itemize a bit further here. Flying Zebra, who came out one of the bigger breadwinners from that last trade, standing there at the end, was able to throw together quickly a plate mail, and it looks like he's starting to get a Lotus Orb here. I saw him pick up a ring also, or a Void Stone, but possibly a Lotus Orb to help out with the silence problem, specifically for the Storm. We'll have to see if that's the case or not. And top lane, they will push out here and just kind of go back to their own split presence. SVG bottom lane smoked up. This Night Stalker is on the prowl under the natural nightfall. And our darkness.
I really like the item from Gyrocopter here. Just based on, just go back to what I said. He needs to tank through the damage. This Heart of Tarrasque is going to be the perfect item for it. Looks like Flying Zebra gets picked here. Yeah, just quick burst. No need to risk him getting away. But the Gyrocopter is going Heart instead of Satanic this game because of the Ice Blast. Still having larger amounts of HP makes it more likely it'll shatter because there's a higher threshold, but it's still better than relying on Lifesteal, which just isn't going to happen against that AA ultimate.
So after taking out the AA, C9 now come to the welcome mat of the Leviathan base here. Well, they look to ascend into a high ground here. While pressure still continues to come from Shibby. Standout play from him last game with this kind of split pressure, and it almost seems like a bit of a mirror match from last time, Blaze. As they come in at the bottom and clear out the tier 3, Shibby tries to go to work at top where a glyph will already be popped now. Francis jumps in, will pop his BKB, gets the pull on the Thievin, looks to take him out before Global will be there, and will do so. That is a huge takeaway, and now he might have to buy back for a Global if necessary. Otherwise, call down committed, Rax cleaned up, and all the meanwhile, Jenkins jumps in. That's going to be the Global. Brax is going to be stuck in there. Ice Blast to fly. Will hit Brax. Not the big damage, but at least the, the passive ability will be there, and he will end up going down. It's a mega kill for Francis. 13 charges in. Shibby was not able to get huge damage in. Takes the tier 3 pretty low, but they lose
MSS
all the
comboed him perfectly. He did massive damage to the Wind Ranger. 100-0, no wind run, just with the big echo on the creep wave and the full follow through from his enchant totem, etc. Just really good jump there from NSS, and that prevents the fiasco that we saw in the previous game.
Didn't get to catch much of it there with the simultaneous action happening on bottom, but C9 will pull back after a big push into that bottom lane and farm what they can on the way out. Already 3k gold thrown together for Ritsu after already completing that heart. And an Orchid now done for Mr. KotLGuy, as we saw him able to easily make the jump onto Theban in that last fight. Eliminated the Global. Now that Theban had committed that buyback here. We'll have to see if it's something Leviathan can use to their advantage. If they can somehow find another pick on this pesky silencer, they would be able to follow up with possibly a successful fight. Or do you think, Blaze, that C9 might have just been able to get too much? You get so much gold from that Rax, and it looks like they will also be able to get an Aegis here. Is it almost the point of no return, and Cloud9 might be too big and bad? But then again, how many times have we said that, Blaze, and Leviathan still find a way to just backdoor into a victory?
They certainly do. It seems like actually it's the other way around, where Leviathan are actually on the back foot. They're stronger when they're having issues like gaining momentum. Then they seem to find just new ways to challenge themselves and pull it through. But here, it does seem really hard. It's all about bringing down the Gyrocopter. Like, they can definitely kill off 1437 in the Orchid and prevent the Global from being a big factor. But, that being said, now we've got this Gyrocopter who's going to have an Aegis, or maybe they give it to Lina. But either way, he's going to be tanky as all get out. 3,000 HP to work with. Can go for BOTs and now an AC. And there's really nothing that they can do to him. It's really difficult with the heroes they have to do anything of considerable damage to this hero at this point in the game.
It looked like Leviathan maybe wanted to toy with the idea of catching a hook on the back end of that Roche, but will be coming up short, and C9 will make a clear escape out. And now time is just all on their side. It's their option on when they want to consider pushing the pace. For now, they could step back, farm up with Aegis in hand. Can work with the clock a bit more. And Theban and company can continue to farm up. 1,500, he made his purchase. Staff of Wizardry here. Maybe an Ags, maybe a Force Staff, maybe a Nules. We'll have to see what eventually that turns into. Ritsu has really no additional point to go to except for picking up a Boots of Travel, perhaps, and that's 7th slot refresher, let's say. But I can't help but feel like Cloud9 are just now got so much of a big arsenal. Brax now, Shadow Blade. As they move in, they have SVG with that ridiculous vision, and Shibby really doesn't have anywhere to run. He tries for a casual TP, but yeah, not going to be happening. Brax shows up suddenly under that Shadow Blade, gets a stun, Laguna, and a kill.
Yeah, very nice, but it's really just goes to show how hard Chibi's game has been. I mean, he got to push out on the top lane before, but generally speaking, he's had no safe place to farm. We've been seeing the Storm take a lot of the jungle, take a lot of the stacks, and if you look at the Wind Ranger's net worth, it's abysmal. I mean, he hasn't gotten really any kills for comeback gold. He's only gotten 264 last hits, which equates to almost no items. I mean, doesn't he have the MKB here nearly 50 minutes into the game? He just hasn't gotten the farm that he needed to really pack the punch. Otherwise, this game would be very different. Gyrocopter would be killable, and things would be just very, very different.
Long jump from Fountain helps to clear out the wave a bit. Ritsu actually got caught out from a cold feet, and now they're going to be forced to global. They'll step back, but that means the tier 3 will easily go down. And Cloud9 just pull back and TP away. All right, that was very slow-paced siege right there. But Jenkins gets a nice catch. Will be thrown up into a Eul's, which means it will be the combo. Yep. It's a big Ice Blast that will connect, but obviously still no follow-up unless a certain Francis wants to get in there and do some fun. It looks like he won't.
Nah, it was honestly an overzealous hook. Like, yeah, you see one TP back, so you feel like you have the strength, but in reality, it's just a silencer TPing back to mid. So they still could easily destroy all of Team Leviathan outside the base there if they fully committed.
All right, and now here comes C9. Sorry, I got
45-second cooldown. There. Or 37.5. Okay, so yeah, this Lena's just going to be going back to back on the Aghanim Scepter. This Octarine just allows her to put out so much damage.
And now here comes Cloud9, looking to invade again from the north where the tier 3 had already dropped, and we have now one range Rax barely alive. Jenkins will not catch the hook there on the way out, and will now rocket. Darkness is going to be dropped here from SVG, and Cloud9 hold their ground. Looks like for the meantime, Leviathan will scout out any potential with some Ice Vortexes here. But Flying Zebra should consider getting back. A big spread, a Ice Blast might be useful here. Jenkins still going to get caught in his own cogs. Will eat the Laguna. Gets his Blade Maul off. Is somehow able to etch away from the call down and away from death. Long jump in from your Storm. That's going to lead to the global, but the quick Eul's will help him. Now there's a BKB. He commits on to Theban here, looking to finish him off and will get him down. Is able to hop back up into base. 14 charges now for him. Cloud9. Got some good base damage. MSS looks like it could jump in, but the Echo is going to be a bit off the mark. And now Leviathan consider re-engaging. Brax, very low on life, just wants his Aegis to pop. Will still be able to participate. Big Dragon Slave. Now look at that damage. Francis goes down. It's going to lose his Bloodstone. Very low death timer. Not looking to buy back yet. Gem on the deck, which it looks like MSS will be picking up. Now we'll lift back. Nushim will be able to swipe the Dragon Slave, looking to put it back onto Brax, who will eat the Focus Fire here. Shibby, Blink trying to sidestep some sort of Laguna here. Will not be able to. Gets his own Glimmer, makes it out and away, and the rest of his company will be able to finish off Brax. So they will take down 3. They lost the tier 3. They lost their ranged Rax. Melee will still stand. Leviathan hold for now, and it actually doesn't require Francis for a buyback. But C9 still show that they're the one in a more dominant position. This is now going to be 3 Raxes down all day for the side of Leviathan. And for C9, they have yet to lose even a couple of tier 2s. So strong position here for Leviathan, and we'll have to see if that's enough for C9 to wait out these death timers, come back, and maybe look to have a go at the Roche. Now bottom lane. Francis makes his return. Still manages to hold a big 3,200 gold here. Got to be curious what the item may be for this Storm to come back into this game.
It's really difficult. I mean, yeah, you can maybe look towards the Hex and get a little bit more control on the Silencer. The Gyrocopter's BKB is wearing down, so it's good there too. But it's just a step up. It's still in the position that they're in. They need ways to enhance the Wind Ranger, and they need ways to get control. And I feel like maybe it's not just getting another item, it's giving over farm. I feel like the Storm Spirit's gold density is way too high for the current state of the team, when they could be getting some really good value on the Wind Ranger.
They got a good jump on Ritsu here. Will force out a global, and they just quickly look to retreat. Set up, of course, from Jenkins. Zebra got a good connection with your Ice Blast, but that is a global down now. Still has one, as he does quickly get that refresher onto cooldown here. It's a long cooldown, so better to get it started. And he'll have a global still ready, but Leviathan will have to backstep a bit, make sure their base is cleared up, and then have go. This is kind of a shoe on the other foot here from what we've seen from the other Leviathan games. Now it's them who have to maintain the base and, you know, try to keep C9 back.
Yeah, so the other option would be maybe like the style that Francis likes to play, which is the BOTs and Linked Sphere, and then he just keeps jumping, he just keeps pushing, and he buys time for Wind Ranger to essentially become 6 slotted, where she's nowhere near it now. Like, she doesn't have half the gold she needs, so maybe getting the Storm Sphere at Rat Dota items would allow him to kind of create that space and build that time.
We wait to see what turning point would allow Leviathan to be able to breach out. It just doesn't seem like. Seems like C9 definitely taking this one very serious, very uniform. Do not want to give an inch to Leviathan. They're only recognizing and respecting what they could do with said inch and taking a mile. And well, look at this. What's this item swap happening here? It looks like Ritsu was going to be handing off again the Helm of the Dominator after using it. And he holds 3k gold. Is there really much to go from here, Blaze? Is it already at that point where he considers the 7th slot refresher? I mean, Boots of Travel already leveled up. His BKB is already down to 6 seconds. There's not really much else to go from here, unless you got to go into Rapier territory, which I don't feel like they need to, certainly at all.
I'd say Moonshard is definite for his next item, and he's definitely going to be picking that up soon. But beyond that, I can't say that he can get much better. I mean, you can maybe get somebody else to build the AC, and then, yeah, you have room for your Rapier, or just really, there's any number of things. Scotty would actually be pretty good. Again, you want to tank up. So I would say, yeah, somebody else ends up late game building the AC, you build the Scotty, or he sold the Sanjin Yasha, so he doesn't seem to want mobility. So I wouldn't say anything along those lines, just more damage and more tank.
Cloud9 now coming bottom. A smoke play to bottom where they'd already taken out a Rax. Maybe they're hoping to catch out someone who's probably just farming out the wave and trying to keep pressure off. And Zebra's like, I might be able to take care of this. Nushin's like, don't worry about it, buddy. I'll get it for you. No problem. Uh-oh. Oh, runs into trouble. There's the fissure. Lead in, Laguna. Noosh will get taken care of. MSS will eat the hook shot, but Jenkins is like, I don't know if I want to engage in this. We'll force staff away from trouble. C9 creep in. They get the Rubik out of the equation. We'll be out 77 seconds, no buyback.
Oh,
and
Rax though, no force.
Okay, gets a big long catch from Jenkins. Ice Blast will be off the mark as Brax is able to glimmer cape away. And now it's Jenkins in trouble. Comes out from MSS, but the force will be there. Follow-up force. Lotus Orb onto Jenkins will give him a bit of extra safety. But C9 make a big movement bottom. They get the one Rubik takedown. Is this really all they need to push into the base? It looks like it is.
And the thing is, the Laguna's back up. That's huge. 37-second cooldown. They kill the Rubik with it, and they immediately have it right back. Unless they get absolutely wrecked by all the AoE spells, all in a tiny stack, there's no reason they shouldn't take mid lane at the very least, and probably look towards top. I mean, Shibby still doesn't have the items he needs. Jenkins using his spells to clear things out, but puts himself in harm's way. Lotus Orb doesn't do enough, and Storm Spirit is going to try to change that.
Ice Blast goes out, but it's not going to be connecting really onto anyone, and this is Francis's time to try to take this game back. He moves in, but that's going to be the first global. Thievin has a second one waiting. They can't utilize it to catch up with the Storm, but Ritsu has objectives on the mine, and he starts trucking right through this mid-set of racks, right to the Megas. And it looks like Cloud9 are going to take this series into a Game 5. Shibby's trying his best to just stand and plant, dish out the focus fire, but Ritsu's not going to have any of it, and the game has been called. Blaze, we're going to a Game 5.
Yep, Cloud9 just really doing swell with this. I mean, the Silencer was really on point with how he used his spells. MSS's play to kill off Shibby in the top lane is pretty huge. Cloud9 as a whole were moving smart across the map. They had a great vision advantage with the Aga Gem Night Stalker. And honestly, Wind Ranger just had a horrible game. Like Shibi, while he was the playmaker in the previous game on the Lena, in this one here, he struggled in Wind Ranger finding farm, and it shows as he only at the last second of this game picks up the Monkey King bar that he needed the entire game to be relevant. So, unfortunate for Team Leviathan, they're not going to be able to 3-1 their opponents, but we have for ourselves, fortunately for the fans, a final Game 5 equalizer.
This is where we test our limitations even between us, Blaze, as we go down to the full marathon stretch. Who will be your BTS Americas 2 champion, Cloud9 or Team Leviathan? We're going to have our answer as this best of 5 now becomes a best of 1. This is KotLGuy for Beyond the Summit, joined again from Blaze at Blaze Casting on Twitter. Show some love and support. We'll be back in a few minutes for Game 5 hype. See you soon.